Hello, good morning, and welcome to our King Drew Career Talks. Today we have the UCLA Health Sciences Recruiter panel, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and have each one do a brief introduction of themselves.
I guess I'll start first, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Karen. Thank you so much for allowing us to participate in your event today. As Elizabeth said, I am a recruiter here at UCLA Health. I recruit mainly for pathology and lab medicine. So think of those scientists who are looking in the microscope and examining like COVID and things like that. Those are the folks I recruit for. I also recruit for the Office of Compliance Services. And I've been with the organization for, oh my gosh, I'm coming up on my 11th year here. Can't believe it, but it's been a very fun and long journey. And I'll hand the mic over to my right, which is Talene.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to meet you all, and I'm so happy to be here along with my colleagues. I am a senior consultant here at UCLA Health. I've been with the organization for about 6 years now, and I primarily recruit for all finance positions within our medical center and our faculty practice group. I'm going to hand it off to Blanca Membrano next.
Thanks, Talene. Hi, everyone. I'm Blanca. I've been at UCLA Health not quite as long as Karen or Talene. I've been here for about 2.5 years. I recruit for the ambulatory float pool, so that's all of our clinics. I recruit mainly for our front desk staff, medical assistants, and LVNs. And I'm also really excited to be here, so thank you. I'll hand it over to Clay.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Clay Dunfelder. I am a recruiter with talent management for UCLA Health. I'm in the same boat as Blanca. I've been with the organization 2.5 years. I would say I'm still in the honeymoon phase. But my primary areas that I recruit for or oversee recruitment for are our administrative positions, specifically with our temporary staffing services for the health system, as well as some of our administrative positions with our oncology clinic and our Department of Transplant Services. But looking forward to having some good conversations this morning. Really here to be a resource for you guys and answer any questions that you have. And welcome. Thank you for allowing us to speak with you today. I'm going to hand off next to Annel, and thank you.
Great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Annel Herrera. I'm a senior recruiter here at UCLA Health. And I primarily recruit for general services. So that's, custodians, security personnel, transporters, lift team. It's a slew of services. So essentially the non-clinical areas. I also recruit for some research positions, some spiritual care areas, and some front desk staff as well. And I'm excited to be here. I've been with UCLA for 15 years, with the talent acquisition team for 2.5 years. And I'm going to hand it over to Nicolas.
Thank you, Annel. My name is Nicolas Reyes. I'm going to take it way back and start with where I grew up. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, Pacoima and Sylmar mainly. I've been working for UCLA Health for about 18 years. I started when I was a student at UCLA, and I began at the front desk registration of patients. And eventually I moved into the position that I am in now, which is a recruiter position. And I help recruit for some general services areas that include nutrition, materials management, and environmental health and safety. The jobs that I help recruit for include cooks, cashiers, storekeepers, and that's pretty much the gist of what I do here. I'm passing it off to my coworker, Dante.
Good morning, all. My name is Dante, and I've been here, is it 2 years now, guys? Wow, time flies, man. And I mainly recruit for radiology, respiratory therapy, a couple other allied health, and neurophysiology are my big ones. It's always a pleasure to work for a great organization as UCLA and UCLA Health, and we're happy to be here, and hopefully we can inspire some knowledge to you today.
So thank you so much to all my recruiters. So if you guys don't know, my name is Reggie Brookins. I'm a senior ambassador. So I do have some questions prepared for you guys. Feel free to answer them in no particular order. I mean, it's like if it applies to you, you can answer it. My first question is, why did you guys choose to be recruiters?
I can dive into that one at first, or Annel, go ahead. I saw the hand raise. You first.
Oh, thank you. I can answer for myself. I've always enjoyed working with people and helping people in any way I can, and especially throughout my career, I've had so many different jobs. I actually worked at a school for a little bit, and I've noticed that sometimes people don't get the help they need to figure out what their career is. They might have excellent skills, excellent education, but no guidance on maybe how to find what's going to fulfill them. And I feel that as a recruiter, I get to help them in that way, and I get to create win-win situations. They find what they're good at and what they want to do, and I find somebody that maybe fits into my role. So I love creating win-win situations. And I'll turn.
With my journey with recruitment, I discovered the area of recruitment when I was actually recruited for a temporary position myself. So I landed a temporary assignment with a staffing agency, was with them for about 6 months, ended up connecting with actually the hiring manager that hired me through that staffing agency, building a good relationship there and learning about what that individual did. And something kind of a light bulb went off and it was like, hey, I could be good at this. I could help kind of fill temporary staffing needs, and gave me an opportunity, and the rest is history. I worked with the staffing agency for about 5 years with a range of different backgrounds, from manufacturing and logistics to office and administration to healthcare staffing as well. And then I saw the position come available with UCLA and I applied. And then they gave me an opportunity and a chance to grow and learn. And my recruitment story and knowledge has completely changed when I joined UCLA. Very unique organization, very mindful of the individuals that we bring into the organization. And so recruitment kind of chose me in a sense. I don't think I chose it. I went to school with a business management background, thought maybe I would own my own business one day, knew nothing about staffing or recruitment, and kind of found its way. And that was kind of my journey into it.
I can also chime in as well. I actually, during college, wanted to be a pharmacist. And throughout college, I realized, this wasn't for me, but I still wanted to stay in healthcare. And eventually I was going to get my master's and get a job in healthcare. But right after I graduated from UC Irvine, I landed a job in finance with the university. And once I left that university, I got another job at UCLA Health as a financial analyst. And during that time in finance, I worked closely with HR and I got exposed to recruitment. And I was like, you know what? I think that's more me. Finance is not about it for me, just because I'm a people person. And I said, let me give it a shot. And then someone took a chance on me, even though I didn't have much recruitment background. I did have the financial payroll side, so it kind of went a little hand in hand. But ever since then, I've loved it. It's a challenge, but I love it because you're problem solving a lot of the time, and every day is not the same, which is also fun for me. And then also I love working with people and helping people find what they're good at and helping people find their next career move.
Thank you so much. Now, I know all of you guys are pretty much in different fields, but just out of curiosity, what exactly does a recruiter do? Like, what is your actual task, like, day in and day out?
I would say a lot. We do recruiting, in all actuality, is probably 10% of our job, honestly. We do a lot of consulting. We do a lot of outreach. We do a lot of equal opportunity projects, things of that nature. Our job in our department in talent management is to make sure that UCLA Health keeps running.
right? And that's everything from equal opportunity, equal pay, consulting, outreach, everything. Recruiting is the part where we sit down and talk to individuals like you, go over resumes, help them find positions that they're qualified for, things of that nature, to give them the best opportunity they have to gain an interview and get in front of a hiring manager to possibly get a job. But from day in, from when we get up in the morning, my day starts usually around 6 a.m. and I'm probably not done. And I don't even know if it's ever truly done, but I probably don't start logging off till about 7:38 on a good day, just depending on what's going on, because we support our health system, right? And most of our hiring managers and the people that we support are clinicians. And when they get a chance to breathe, is typically not convenient always for us. So we have to be there for them as well. So I would say recruiting, probably about 10%. And then the rest of keeping our health system going is the other 90.
I think Dante he got it right on the ball when he mentioned that it's a consulting role, and that's part of our job title. And I completely agree with that title, because it is exactly what we do. We do recruiting in a traditional sense. We also have a lot of other projects that we work on, including equity and diversity projects. We also, during COVID, we kind of had to kind of regroup and think about how we were going to solve the problem of certain staff members not having a job to come into because certain areas were closed down. So we created what was called the redeployment pool, and a number of our team members participated, and we were able to place a lot of people in areas where they were needed specifically for COVID temporarily. So we always are learning, and we're always working on how to make the health system better.
And besides consulting with the hiring managers that Dante and Nicolas pointed out, we also like to connect with the community, like with you, right? So let's say you graduate from college and you're not sure what job you want to pursue, you know, you can talk to us. We can help you get there and find your path.
To sum it up, I would say we're problem solvers. That's the main gist of the day. Everybody in the organization is taking their issues and they're bringing it to us. And then we're resolving it, or we're being a resource on how to resolve it in the most appropriate manner. And on top of bringing in the best talent for our organization, so it does continue to run as well.
Thank you for that. So my next question is, what was your career like before COVID, and how has like COVID-19 and the pandemic changed what you guys do on a regular basis?
I used to walk a lot more. Let's just say that. I had steps, and now I'm sitting a lot more than I'd like. The pros of, not the pros, but I guess, you know, the silver lining is that we saw how quickly we were able to pivot and adapt as a team. For a long while, you know, our organization, you know, one of our big asks was, well, you know, we would like to work from home more. But as an organization, we just weren't there yet. And as soon as COVID hit, we all had to work at home, like tomorrow, right? We just all switched, and it was such a drastic change. But we were able to see, oh my gosh, we are able to pull together really quickly. We are really great collaborators, and we're just really adaptive. And it definitely is different. Look, we're doing things virtually now. We're not seeing each other in 3D. And I think that's kind of the biggest change, is that how we communicate with each other. It's all through this screen right here. But I'll let my colleagues chime in as well.
I can chime in a little bit as well, because I think, as Karen pointed out, we had to transition to working from home. So that was a big change. But also as a healthcare organization, our work didn't really slow down. It actually picked up. We had to fill in more positions, bring in more people. As you know, someone that recruits for general services, we needed more cleaning staff, right? The protocols for cleaning had to increase, so we needed more people fast tomorrow. So as Dante pointed out, I think our regular hours might be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And during the peak of COVID, it might have been 7 or 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. So I think being flexible as a recruiter really helped us to succeed. But that's how it's changed. It really did pick up because of we do work for a hospital. I don't know if anybody else wants to add to that.
Yeah, and
There's
just
no flu this year.
sorry, I lost my voice. And just to add to that, I feel like there's been some difficulties with work-life balance now that we're working from home. Sometimes the hours are really extended. Sometimes I find myself working till like 10 p.m. at night, even though my day started at 8. So I definitely struggle with that. And then I just miss my coworkers. I miss the conversations we had in the hallways, like popping into each other's office to see how, life was going. So while it's great to work from home, sometimes we do lose a little bit of like the friendship behind the work, if that makes sense. But overall, I do enjoy working from home.
And my next question is actually kind of piggybacking off of what you said. And Karen, I heard you said earlier, when you guys adapted, you had to adapt as a team. So I would imagine your workplace is very oriented. So I just want to know, how do you guys like maintain good relationships among your coworkers?
A lot of Zoom calls and meetings. That is definitely how we've pivoted. We have the Microsoft Office Teams. We randomly will chat each other if we have questions, just like we would in the office. I think technology is great. The phone, texting, I don't know how many times we call each other a day just to even ask a random question, but to even at that point, ask a random question, but hey, how are you doing? Let's check in and, have that health, kind of like a health check, just to make sure everyone's staying afloat, because like everyone has mentioned previously, we do work a lot, but that's because we want to ensure that we get everything done for our hospital to run smoothly, right? I'll let any of my other colleagues to take this question on as well.
We have virtual parties. We had quite a few of those, especially in the beginning when everything hit the fan and nobody could go anywhere. We'd have virtual parties. I know I've hosted one, other colleagues, different situation, usually that we would after work go out and celebrate or whatever, Cinco de Mayo or something like that. We just do it via Zoom. And like you said, we all have the team space has really allowed us to have our own virtual offices, right? Our own little box, and we just pop in and out depending on if it shows that they're available, not ask a question, follow up, send an email. Hey, did you get a chance to look at this and that? It is tough living in a 30-minute to an hour block of time trying to fit in someone's schedule versus actually getting up and walking down to their office or walking across campus or whatever it may be. So it was a tough transition, but it really makes you rely more on the virtual environment than the FaceTimes, the Teams, the Google Meets, and all the things like that.
Yeah, I feel like we're really becoming tech savvy a lot more than we were before, because we're using all the technology we have. We also have, work phones. We have our own personal phones. We all have each other's numbers for everything. So we try to keep in touch as much as we can, because it is needed for our position.
Thank you. So my next question is, could you tell us what a general salary is for somebody in your career?
That's going to vary so on the call right now, we have a consultant and we have senior consultants. I'll speak for myself as a consultant right now. The range right now on an hourly rate, it would be probably around $30 to $60 an hour, 30 on the low end, 60 on the high end. And at UCLA, a lot of the position title codes that we have ranges because, a lot of the areas that are determining your salary is usually based off of years of experience and what others are making in that same department and the type of experience that they had as well, kind of sizing you up apples for apples based off of equity of that department is how they would state that. But for a consultant, for myself, I would say on the low range, $30 an hour to $60 an hour on the high for my position.
I would say when you're talking about compensation and yourself, you got to think about yourself as a brand, right? So I'll speak for self because we can only speak for self without oppressing the opinions of others, right? I previously was in the Army for 20 years. And in those 20 years, I did, probably 14 of those years, I did human resources, medical recruiting, and things of that nature. So all that builds towards experience, right? And like Clay said, once you come into a different organization, I was done with the Army. UCLA said, hey, we want to interview you. And I was like, all right. So they flew me all the way to California because I was in Kentucky at the time, getting ready to transition from the military to regular people life. And had no idea what I was doing, to be honest, because I'm wearing a uniform and camouflage and everybody's telling me where to go and what to do all the time, right? Now I got to think for myself. So I was like, oh man, now I got to represent myself and I got to figure out what does my brand look like and how does that equate to how much I should be getting paid, right? So you sit down, you do your interviews and things of that nature. And then it comes down to pay, and Clay's exactly right. It really depends on one, what your peers are making, two, how much is that job worth to the average organization, right? And then they find a sweet spot in the middle. And I think that's what they do. On my level as a senior consultant, I mean, sky's the limit. We won't use hourly, but I'll say, and off the top of my head, I think right around, I think mine tops out at what, 150, and then the low end is, I don't know, probably 80 something, maybe 70 something like that, somewhere around there, to kind of give you an idea of what a senior consultant in human resources with someone like me who has 15 plus years doing it. So that kind of gives you an idea of kind of where that lies. And it's a big range, right? So that's where I say it comes in when it comes down to you. And this could be with any job that's not already have pay ranges that are set out for you or set out depending. You really have to sit down and kind of think, how much am I worth and how much am I bringing to the table to express that brand into the person that's trying to hire me.
Thank you. So my next question is, what motivates you guys to go into work and get on Zoom calls every morning and every day?
Lots of coffee.
Yeah, coffee gives you the energy to get going.
Every kind of caffeine there is.
For me,
What-
you have
what-
to be the people. The
Yeah.
people
Yes.
motivate me every day to get up. And I love what I do. And I love helping people and people that I work with, not just on my team. I love my team. We're one big happy family. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, if you can put a really good group of people together, that's our team. And not only do I love working with my team, but I do love working with the people that I service. Everyone is so great at what they do, and like hearing them talk about their passion, the work that they complete every day is just unreal to me. And I just love learning. So I learned so much, not only from my colleagues, but the individuals that I service as well. So for me, it's the people that motivate me.
I think for me, it's so funny because I echo everything Talene said, because I do love my job. I love this team. This is a great team. Incredibly, I think we all get along. And as you can see, we're very diverse in all sorts of ways. Yet we get along because we're all people, right? But I love helping people. That's what motivates me every morning. Sometimes it's the problem solving, right? Like I had somebody this morning, one of my new hires, that he's not going into an IT job. He's going into a custodial job. So he can't even log into Zoom. So just helping him with that is such great satisfaction sometimes. So it could be small problems like that, or it could be major problems where, you know, your department is having a lot of turnover. And so you want to brainstorm with them and help them find a solution. So for me, problem solving, lifelong learning, the people, collaboration, it motivates me.
I think that, sorry, go ahead. Go for it.
I was going to say UCLA really takes care of its employees. And so I'm motivated by, you know, just the overall resources that we have at hand too. And so there's a lot of opportunity, not only for self-development within the organization, but for a lot of potential growth as well. So you can kind of make your journey and your path how you want. And so it depends how hungry you are and how motivated you are and the reasons why you're motivated. But every individual is going to have their own personal reason. But I think what embraces that and what kind of gives us a little nudge is the easily accessible resources that we do have with UCLA Health. That just makes our jobs a little bit easier to accomplish. And I think that's one thing that's important to me as well. It's not kind of always going against the grain. You kind of get into a groove once in a while, even though it can be very difficult and stressful. UCLA kind of paves a path for you in a sense, with whether it be their branding of their name. You know, as a recruiter, we don't struggle necessarily to get applications to come into our tools because UCLA attracts so many people already. That's just kind of an example of what I mean of kind of creating that groove for us to do our jobs in a sense.
I think there are so many factors within my position that motivate me every day. Number one, I love math. So just our daily calculations of salaries, that excites me for some reason. So any math lovers out there, this will be a good job for you because we do that a lot. I also, I love presenting. We just got out of a teaching opportunity. We were just going over a lot of our recruitment process with our hiring managers earlier this morning. And then just speaking to people in general and knowing that people rely on you to complete certain tasks in order to move forward with being able to provide pertinent care for people, or even in their own lives. I mean, we're determining a big life decision for a lot of people. And I always remember that. I always keep that in mind.
Also remember, what really makes the difference, and all of this sums it up, is whether you want to go to work because of where you work or you have to go to work. Get what I'm saying? You want to go to work because you want to make a difference. You love your team, you love your family, you love the impact that you give and what you can offer, versus having to go to work, waking up, oh my God, is it worth it today? Do I want to get fired today? Do I need to go in and do the same humdrum jobs? Probably not a job that or career that you're passionate about, and it might be time to change careers, you know? And then sometimes you're in situations where you kind of don't have a choice. But when you're fortunate enough to have that option, always pick the option of wanting to go to work.
I think for me, it's definitely like making that offer and then the potential to change someone's life and hearing people on the other end be so excited for the opportunity. I think with COVID, a lot of people have definitely seen really hard times. And so to be able to present them with an opportunity to, you know, have an income again, it definitely is my favorite part.
Thank you. And then one of my last questions before I open it up to the students for their questions is, well, I'm gonna use me personally. I'm a senior. Most of the people in here are juniors, but I'm planning on majoring in biology and becoming an anesthesiologist in the future. And I mean, I'm not sure if they know exactly what they want to major in yet, but what advice do you have for a student like me or students in general? And like, what do you want them to take away from you guys today?
I think be flexible. You know, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a pharmacist. I don't know who said that, was it Blanca or Tully? And then when I got to college, I majored in hospitality, so like hotel and restaurant management, right? Totally like 180. And then now I'm in human resources. So how I got here was, like, I think it was my last quarter, they made us take an HR class, right? And I was like, what a snore. I'm not going to take this. This is going to be like my last quarter class. And lo and behold, I take this class and it was so interesting. I saw how the business connected with this critical HR function. And I thought, oh my gosh, they make such an impact. I always thought it was that office that made you sign a bunch of forms and, you know, complete time cards. Okay, that was my vision of human resources back in the day. And so I told my parents, you know what, I'm not ready to graduate yet. I'm going to take an extra year. I'm going to minor in HR because I want to see what this is all about. I think this is where the path is leading me. And so I did that. So I think it's great that you have a goal and you have a dream right now. And if you think that's where you should be, keep, you know, shooting for it. But also know that if it changes along the way, that's okay too. You know, we're never too old for anything. And that's kind of my takeaway.
I actually have the same advice as Karen, is the pivoting. Like I said before, I wanted to be a pharmacist when I was in high school and then in college. I didn't want to give up on this dream for the longest time, not because of anybody but myself. I had a goal and I was determined to get it. Then I started realizing that I wasn't the same person anymore. I wasn't as happy. I wasn't as I don't know, I wasn't motivated anymore. And I realized that this career change is going to happen, and that you're in college really to not only um, get an education, but you're also learning about yourself, right? You're learning what your passions are and who you are. So at that point, like, yeah, you know, maybe biology, or maybe for me, I was a biological sciences major, but maybe at that point I was like, you know, I don't think this is for me. I'm not, it's just not going to work for me. So I still stayed within the sciences, and I ended up getting my degree in public health policy because that was more so what I wanted to do, because it had to do with people, right? And working with people, and still in the healthcare field, and it still checked off all my boxes of what I wanted to do, but it wasn't going to be the pharmacist. So what I'm saying is that it's okay to change your mind, because throughout your entire life, your career is going to change. You may want to change jobs. You may want to change states. Who knows? Anything. Change is happening, and change is important. Change is good. You don't need a timeline, and you don't need to have a definitive answer right now. All that's important is really just finding out who you are and get your education if you pursue that route.
I can.
I think,
Oh,
sorry, go ahead, Annel.
Oh, okay. So I completely agree with Karen and Talene. I think we've all had to pivot our careers at some point, and so being flexible is key. Two things that I always think about is definitely try to find what motivates you, what helps you get up every morning, and that will help you find what your career path is. And then two, I think as Dante was mentioning before, is the branding, right? So everything you do, you're creating your brand. You know, when you're in class, when you have a part-time job, what brand are you creating for yourself? What do people think of when they think of you? Are you a hard worker? Are you somebody that shows up to work on time? Do you follow through on your commitments? So you always want to be thinking of that branding, because you never know what an early opportunity you may be building a path for a long-term career opportunity later on. So I mean, I still keep in touch with some of my college bosses, and people that I supervised when I was in college still keep in touch with me. And I think you just never know. So you always want to be focused and think about your brand. What do people think of when they think of you as an employee, as a student, whatever it is that you're doing?
One thing that I wanted to point out is that when you think about working for a health system, you automatically just think about mainly two positions, a physician or a nurse. And what I want you to know is that those aren't the only two jobs that exist in a health system. There are so many other jobs, and you don't necessarily, if this is not your path to go to a 4-year university and then follow up with higher education after that, for a position, if you want to find a position where all you need is a certification, or where you need 2 years instead of the 4 years, that's definitely a possibility in a huge health system like ours. And it's something that you should definitely look up if you're interested in it.
Think of your education as your base, right? You want to have an education. You want to build on the foundation from high school, because high school is going to give you what you need to get you there. And then your continuing education is going to give you more of a base to get you ready for the working world, right? Whatever that may be, whether it's a pharmacist, whether it's a cardiologist, whether it's some other type of physician, get after it, go for it. And they're completely right. Change is good. If you find out that your base is leading you somewhere else, get after it. But continue to build upon yourself. Like Annel, I'm also a lifelong learner. I'm in a PhD program right now on top of doing my human resources. And it's so hard to go and do a PhD virtually, let me tell you. But I'm getting after it because I am a lifelong learner, and it builds on the base Talene and I share. public health, both masters in public health, and it's something that I'm passionate about, and that's where all my education in healthcare, being a combat medic, all that stuff has leaded me to, and hopefully it pays off in the end. But just for the simple fact that I did it is good enough for me. So like Annel said, find what that motivation is for you. Use that to fuel you through college. There's gonna be days when you're a freshman and you're stuck with them 8 o'clock classes while everybody's not going to class till like 3 p.m. and you're like, oh my God, why do I have to get up? And you're dragging yourself to class, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and there's always a meaning behind it. And what that is for you is what you, like Talene said, you will figure out while you're in school.
Just a food for thought on my side. Couple things that I just, from people, from person to person, just a personal recommendation is go with your gut. You know, you have a feeling about something you're interested in and you like it for whatever reason, and you're getting pushback from others saying, no, that's not the right path for you, or you shouldn't do that, it's not going to make enough money, or whatever the reason is. Go do you. Do what you feel is right. Go with your gut. Go with your direction of what your true interest is. If that ends up changing along the path, so be it. You know, a lot of lifelong learners on this call. Me, school, I was not the fit for me. Education, college was a struggle. I struggled. I went on the 7-year program to graduate college. I was taking a class here, taking a class there, but I stayed consistent and I went with my gut, because my gut told me is that you got to accomplish this, Clay, somehow, some way. But because I didn't like school and wasn't great at school, it dragged out for so long, but I stayed with my gut, and it kind of pushed me into something positive. And so if there's one thing that I could, you know, really tell everybody is to kind of be yourself, you do you, hang out with people that you see that are pretty successful as well, learn from their successes, see if that's something that attracts you as well. If not, move on to something different. But, you know, your path is going to be completely different than everybody else's. And your journey is going to be your journey. And so you want to make it the best for you, nobody else, in a sense. So I think I know that's kind of hard to do and easy to say, but if you kind of always go reflect back within, that's going to help guide you through your process, through your journey.
Okay, I can go. All of the advice that everyone's given is so great, so I don't want to be too repetitive, but like Clay, also am not a lifelong learner. College was definitely a struggle for me. I think it also took me 7 years to get my degree. I think the most important thing that, like Karen and Talene mentioned, is it's okay to change your mind. So I went all 7 years getting a degree in psychology, and I just really hated psychology, but I didn't want to like switch my major because I was like, I already did all this work. Like, how am I going to now change my course? But it's okay to do that. Because when I graduated college, I had to tell you, like, I was really proud that I completed my degree in psychology, but then I was like, well, what now? What am I going to do? Because I don't want to go back to school for more psychology. And I think that also affected my overall experience with school. I was doing something that I really hated. And so I was just really forcing myself. I took a lot of breaks. So it's okay to change your mind. There's so many resources at school. I was a first generation college student. So like, I just didn't know who to go to for help, but you have counselors at school, and just reach out to different resources because they're definitely there. So yeah, I guess that's it.
So thank you everyone for all that advice, and I really did learn a lot. And now I'm gonna take this time to open it up to our students. If you guys have any questions, put it in the chat, unmute your mic, whatever you want to do. But yeah, ask away.
Nobody? Oh man.
It's coming in the chat.
You need to give them a few minutes.
Oh, they're typing it.
Yes, they're typing
in the
it.
chat.
You can put it in the chat or you can unmute, but they're used to be, you know, chatting more than unmuting now.
I do see one in the chat right here. It says, I know that during this pandemic, we have to do Zoom calls and keep in touch with each other and do meetings and whatnot. But has there been any situation during the pandemic where you guys had to meet in person?
Yes. Talene and I actually quite often throughout the year, we still do our community engagements. One thing that we do is we do food drives, we do donations, we do things of that nature, and we'll get together, we'll carpool, and we'll take stuff down to whatever the located drop-off points are. We'll have lunch. and all that stuff, and then come back. So every once in a while, we'll meet up with each other and do what we got to do. We keep our circle small, but we still try to have some type of normalcy in regards to whatever the rules are, unless, you know, LA grounds us, then we get grounded, we're stuck in our homes. But when they take us off punishment, as I like to say, then we try to get out, take a walk or something, work out together, whatever it may be, stuff like that.
We also did a drive, I don't know what they're called. What are they? This sounds really wrong, a drive-by, but it's not for a birthday or like a graduation. I know that sounds wrong. I don't know what it's called. But you know how everyone got in their cars and decorated it. We've done that too as well. I mean, and we've done that twice, one for a retirement, one for a graduation. But most of our events, we actually really haven't done anything in person, to be really honest, just because we want to make sure we're safe. And as you all know, we're part of a healthcare organization, so we have to follow all guidelines and associated with that.
There's some good questions coming in too.
Sure. So is there anything that you guys found out along the way that could have helped you in the beginning?
Well, for this role, nobody really grows up wanting to be in human resources. We kind of find that out later on, but definitely, I would say the number one thing, if we're trying to get to the question, customer service. Of all the jobs and things that I've had, customer service has always been that grounding anchor. And I think if you're good at that and good at wanting to take care of other people, I think you'd be fine.
Yes, definitely agree with the customer service aspect. If yeah, like I like to say, kill them with kindness.
Always. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna, due to time, I know we're on a slight time constraint, but seeing some of these other questions in the chat, you know, actively have a mentor guide us from the start. I personally did not have a mentor from the start, but I was attracted to somebody that turned me on to the industry. And I kind of, you know, slowly but surely learned more and more from that individual. Didn't necessarily have a mentor, but I definitely was an observer. And I was attracted to people who had success, and I saw that I wanted to get some of that success, and I kind of started implementing some of the things that they were doing. I don't know if anybody else on our team had a mentor growing up.
I had several mentors throughout my career progression, and right before becoming a recruiter, I actually had a really great mentor that I think she helped me be brave enough to apply for the position. And so I think that is one key tip also is build your board of directors. And what I mean by that is build your team of supporters, you know, mentors, parents, whomever is going to support your growth. And I think they helped me when I didn't feel brave enough. They would review my resume or my cover letter, or connect me with somebody that might know how I can reach out to the hiring manager. So definitely mentors, always have mentors.
I always tend to kind of gravitate toward people that I find just amazing and that I think are super great at what they do. Kind of like if you're in a gym and then you see someone who's you know, doing really well, you go up to them, you ask them questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? Same professionally. I have a specific mentor that one day I just told them, everything you do professionally is perfect. How can I be like you? So literally I'm asking them questions all the time. I'm trying to learn, you know, what they do, how they do it. So I feel like when you find that, just cling on to it and kind of learn as much as you can.
Yeah, I've also had a mentor in 2 different fields. I had a mentor here at UCLA, and then I also used to work in a group home. So I had a mentor when I worked there. And kind of like how Annel mentioned, they do make you feel stronger. They encourage you and uplift you, and they teach you what they know, and it eventually helps you in the future when you want to get promoted or you want to do that same role. So it's definitely something that you should look into. Sometimes it can just start off as a friend. I feel like the word mentor sounds so official that it just feels weird to be like, hey, do you want to be my mentor? But you can kind of see it as like a friend, someone who can help guide you. But I definitely recommend it.
So did you guys have to strengthen your social skills for this job?
Yeah, we're always sharpening the tools. I think every conversation you learn a little bit more. You know how to address that if a similar situation comes up again, you know how to address it a little bit better. You know what not to say, what you should have said. But I think everybody on our team, especially in talent acquisition and talent management, social skills is probably one of their strengths, even though they might not identify with that. I would say they all are pretty strong in that area, but constantly developing and strengthening that area to be successful in our roles for sure.
One of our colleagues yesterday, we have this thing called HR Live where we learn from each other in our specialties. And they mentioned that, they have to have a really good poker face. And I think that rings so true for all of us because, in our job, it's not rainbows and sunshine every day. Someone is going to say something really mean, really cruel, and we can't take it personally. So we have to have a really good poker face as well and just smile and brush it off and bounce back. So that definitely feeds into our social skills.
And then my last question before I pass it back to Ms. Soto is, can you speak a little bit more about how you guys help others find their career paths?
One at a time. Honestly, we encourage those who are ready to apply for a career at UCLA is to one, get on there, look and see what they're qualified for, put their resumes together, but give us a call and we will sit down. It used to be in person, now over Zoom, however long it takes to make you feel comfortable about the job that you're applying for, as long as you're qualified, right? Go over it piece by piece with you, kind of let you know where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and look at the position of, especially one of the positions that recruiter supports. They'll let you know up front, this is kind of what the industry is looking for. This is kind of what you're bringing to the table. So we'd like to do it one at a time.
Just be a constant resource, answer any and every question that comes up. Try to get ahead of the curve a little bit too and provide information that they probably need to know, want to know, but might not be asking as well to help them find success. But just being a resource and constantly just giving people opportunities. We are in constant communication with individuals daily, and we are giving them guidance and tools and recommendations to find success within our organization and outside of the organization as well too, if our organization's not the right fit.
We also have weekly meet and greets where you can come on and talk to a recruiter. So people tend to ask more specific questions about applications there or what you're looking for specific roles. So I'd recommend, if you are interested in career advice, to definitely hop onto those. You can find it on our careers website.
And something that's unique about our specific job as a recruiter for UCLA Health is that it's not like a traditional recruiter in another area where we're out there seeking for specific employees, because we get so many people who apply for all of our positions, most of our positions. We have very little positions where we can't find candidates. Over the course of a year, we can have as many as 92,000 unique people who apply for positions, and they're applying over 230,000 times to different positions. So that means that it's really competitive. So one of the things that I always stress is to just be persistent and to not give up in terms of you looking for a specific job. It may not happen the first time, but if you keep at it, eventually, you may hear good news.
So thank you so much for all the amazing answers. I definitely learned a lot. I don't know about all the students, but I took away a lot from this. I do want to pass it to Ms. Soto before I bring this to an end. So Ms. Soto, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I just want to go ahead and also thank each one of you for your time, because time is precious. And thank you for taking this time to really, share with us your words of wisdom with our students, because they definitely need them. Not just from the teachers. They really want to hear from professionals, and just being able to see the different careers that are out there. I think it's great exposure for them. So truly want to say thank you. And also, Reggie, were all the questions from the chat answered?
I believe so.
Okay.
The website for us, I saw that come up really quick. If you just type in UCLA Health Careers, uclahealthcareers.org. That's going to take you to our career site.
I added it in the chat as well.
Bam, Talene is quick. We really thank you guys today. I hope you learned something, or just, maybe decided UCLA is something you don't want to be in, or that our recruiter world, but, take food for thought, absorb it all, you do you, and we really appreciate your guys' time as well.
I do want to say that just having the partnership with UCLA and getting to know people at UCLA, and you mentioned something about how they're just such a great employer. I can tell, and you can tell, you can see it. Everyone is truly always happy to work for UCLA. Like, I have never heard someone say anything but positive things about being there, and I think it's so great that they do that. And that's the number one thing, is being taken care of taking care of your employees. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so if there's no other questions, and if you can see, students, they did put the link in the chat, so I would go ahead and just take some time to do that right now. I would appreciate it. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. Or actually, Reggie, you can start the recording. Usually